Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am doing my March TBR. Although, to start with, this video and whatever other video where I am wearing this shirt are dedicated, we'll say, to some friends of mine. They know who they are. Red lipstick, there's two of you, and as far as the shirt, there is one particular friend who still owes me Thai dinner, by the way, but who really likes this shirt. So, thanks for watching. At any rate, March TBR, I was really struggling to think of what I wanted to theme March. Because I don't really have any pressing desire to theme it one thing or another. So, I decided that I would just, probably for the first time in my life, go with the month. English is hard. March is Women's History Month, and so I went with women. I'm going to read about women, books by women, whatever the case may be. I mean, those are kind of the two big categories, but at any rate, I have a lovely pile of books here next to me, so let's get into that. The first one is The Women of Chateau Lafayette by Stephanie Dray. I have read this author before, and I'm currently reading this book. I'm about 50 pages in. So far, I'm loving it. I've read Stephanie Dray before, specifically Lily of the Nile and Song of the Nile, which are about Cleopatra's daughter. Loved these books, and I'm really enjoying this one at the moment. So I'm going to read this one. Also, because it is on loan from a coworker, people really have to stop giving me access to their books, because every time I go somewhere and there's books, I borrow books. Like, thank you all dearly, but you guys have got to stop giving me books. At any rate, I am borrowing this one, and it's really good so far. It is a triple point of view set in the 1770s, 1940s, and 19-teens. So, French Revolution, World War I, World War II. And it's three different women, obviously, nobody lives that long, during these times, who live in the Lafayette castle, house, manor, whatever you want to call it. And sort of their stories and how they weave together. Like I said, I'm only 50 pages in, but so far it's really good. Put that somewhere I'm not going to step on it. Or it can fall. And then I've really been craving some animal books. So I was pleasantly surprised when I glanced at this one and saw it was written by a woman. Very exciting. I am going to read, theoretically, I can read, The Truth About Animals, Stoned Sloths, Lovelorn Hippos, and Other Tales from the Wild Side of Wildlife. I have become perhaps overly fond of penguins because of work, which doesn't make sense to anybody who wasn't there, hasn't had it explained. But anyway, I saw this and I really enjoyed this kind of stuff. Sex and the Sea was one of my favorite books of 2020, and I still remember it vividly. I need to get a copy. So this one sounds very similar, but different species, and I love it. It'll give me so many fun facts to just shock people with, which is part of why I enjoy it, right? I have so many random facts about a lot of random stuff stuffed into my head. Then another book that I'm borrowing, but is about and by women, is The Weight of Ink by Rachel Kadish. You've seen this one before. It's been on several TBRs. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I'm not actually sorry. I want to read this book. But this is 1660s and early 2000s, and there's two different women. Immigrant from Velasquez and a woman who enlists the help of an American grad student. And they obviously intertwine through the papers, I would assume, that they're looking at. But this one sounds really good. It is a chunker, but we're gonna see how many books I can get through. And then also, I realized I had one by Stephanie Dray that I hadn't read, and that is America's First Daughter. This is about Jefferson's daughter. One, I didn't know he had a daughter. In my head, until about a year and a half ago, I didn't realize he had a wife. Let me rephrase my earlier sentence. I didn't realize he had legitimate daughters that were not the product of whatever it was he had going on with Sally Hemings, to specify. But apparently he did. Who knew? So I am going to read this, theoretically. Actually, probably because it is by Stephanie Dre, and like I said, I'm reading The Women of the Chateau Lafayette, which I'm really enjoying, so I suspect I'll read this one as well. And then we've got some nonfiction, because obviously, I mean, the animals were nonfiction. But anyway, Queens of Conquest by Alison Weir. I love Alison Weir. She's a phenomenal historian and a really good novel writer as well. I have not read, obviously I have not read this book. When in doubt, I probably haven't read the books. It's a thing. I'm working on it. Slowly, and at the moment, horribly is when it comes to my own collection, but I'm working on it. Anyway, I know nothing about medieval queens, or conquest. Yeah, medieval queens. I'm not losing my mind. I do know the name Matilda. Anything I know is from either Robin Hood movies or Horrible Histories. I won't apologize for that because I love Horrible Histories, but that's my level of knowledge, and I haven't watched Horrible Histories in several years, so it's, you know, fading. I would love to learn more about these women because we don't get a lot about them. And then, I really need to read a biography of Mary, Queen of Scots, because I am Elizabeth I person. Always have been, always will be. I really think Mary made some incredibly poor choices in her life, not least of which was marrying Darnley, possibly most of which was marrying Bothwell. Just a theory. And I'm not entirely sure she actually thought out her actions. However, John Guy is a well-respected historian, and I need to know more about Mary. So, why I'm choosing all the big-ass books, I don't know, but here we are. I got this book, African Women, 3 Generations by Mark Mathabane, when I was writing a paper in law school, because it was about women in Africa. Specifically, I was researching women in the Maasai tribes in Ethiopia, and women in the Xhosa and Zulu tribes in South Africa. This had some, I mean, this is 3 South African women, right? So it was particularly relevant to me. I don't remember if it actually got into the final cut of the paper, but at any rate, I haven't read the entirety of it. So I definitely want to read the entirety of it, and I've been out of law school for almost 5 years, so I should maybe get around to this. I also have The Queens of Animation by Natalia Holt, which was a gift to me from my beautiful friend Katie, except that it was a gift like 3-4 years ago, and I just haven't got to it yet. There's a theme when it comes to any of my TBRs, it's that I really want to read this book, but I haven't got to it. If you haven't been here for long, there's the summation of really anybody on BookTube. Welcome. This is the untold story of the women who transformed the world of Disney and made cinematic history. That sounds so cool, because we hear about men because they talk about themselves all the time. It sounds great. I also want to read Her Hidden Genius by Marie Benedict, which is the story, this is the novelization of the story of the woman who helped discover DNA. And that sounds fascinating. And for once, this is actually short. So, but also connected The Secret of Life, which is the non-fiction story of the people who discovered DNA. However, I want to read both of these because woman-focused and then just the general context. I will probably read the nonfiction first so I can have more context when I read this one, honestly. And then we get into some fantasy, because why not have variety? Starting with Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. This one was published in. You want to know when this was published? Let's find out. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was published in 2020. That's not awful. This has only been on my TBR for 3 years. Is it bad when I say it's only been on my TBR for 3 years? Because I think I may have a problem. Anyway, don't mind the children. There are 6 of them running upstairs. They're loud. It's fine. This is a YA fantasy. Let's see. Ivane will be reunited with her older sister Halcyon after 8 years. One's tending their family's olive grove, as you do, and the other one's serving in the Queen's army. Something is terribly wrong. Halcyon is being hunted by her commander and charged with a terrible crime. I'm guessing treason or murder or something, because that tends to be what it is. So, yeah, that sounds fun. I think mostly I got it because it's a story about sisterhood, and at the time I was really feeling the need to connect with some sisters. My sister and I are fine, just to be clear. Then, you'll see this one in my March haul, but I got A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This sucker is 884 pages, as opposed to the 829 of Priory of the Orange Tree. This is a prequel set several thousand years before Priory, if I'm not mistaken, and that world is very woman-centric, also written by women, and it's pretty. So depending on how much time or how much motivation I have, we'll see if I get to this one in March. And then another one that's been on my shelf for years, because again, I have a problem, is The Tiger's Daughter by Kate Arsenault Rivera. Again, written by women main characters. I believe this one's sapphic as well, but this is the Hakaran Empire has conquered every land within their reach and subjugated the nomadic tribes. Generations later, decaying imperial line is really bloody corrupt, you don't say. And the demons that they once kept at bay are taking advantage of the crumbling protection of border walls. Huh. Well, that'll be fun. And so these two women decide to try and, get rid of the demons or die trying. That sounds really good. Again, another chunker, because apparently March is going to be the month of long books as well. Anyway, I'm very excited about this stack, and obviously I have 700 plus books that I haven't read on my physical shelves. So if it's written by a woman or about a woman, it's free game. I don't know, we'll see. But these are some of the ones that I'm probably going to try and focus on, just because they're here and now they're top of mind awareness. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations or preferences within this list that you want me to read first, or attempt to read sooner, let me know down in the comments below, and in the meantime, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!